Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production, available on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm Dave Schrader. That's Tim Dennis. We've got a lot to talk about today. We'll be doing a movie review for a brand new chiller coming out this weekend, Tim. Mm-hmm. The Curse of La Llorona.
Yeah, not so easy, isn't it?
Nailed it. I've nailed it. What are you talking about? My grasp of the Spanish language, Tim, is fluent. I am the Gomez Adams of this show. That's all I can say.
You should see the emails stacked up in my inbox about, oh, no, it's pronounced this way, Tim. Oh, if you're having a tough time with it, Tim, here's how you pronounce it. No, go ahead, Dave. Do it again.
People love you.
Do it again.
People
Do it again.
love you.
Do it again.
La Llorona, Tim.
Yeah.
How can you not say it? It's so simple. Hey, let's get into something real quickly here, though. Joining us right now, our friend from Pittman Casting, Jackie Pittman, is with us, and she has a new project. They're looking for hauntings, Tim. All right, Jackie, welcome back to the show. How are you today?
I'm amazing. Thanks, guys, for having me today.
Certainly. All right, you are casting for a new paranormal reality show, and what are you looking for?
I am casting for a new show to air on Travel Channel, and we are looking for people who are seriously haunted by a ghost that's reoccurring. We're looking for people who are scared to death, who are in fear of the ghosts that they have in their home. Some of the criteria is that you own your home or you have access to who owns your home, because we want to come in and try to eradicate the ghost for you. But it really needs to be a serious haunting. We're not looking for people who have lived with their ghost for a really long time and who've become friends with it. We're looking for people who really do not want it in their home.
All right, you want to get rid of more of the intruder spirits.
Exactly.
Not grandpa and grandma.
Not grandma and grandpa.
Okay.
And we're really looking for repeated sightings throughout the house or in one particular part of the house. Like it loops. You know, if you walk into your bedroom, you see this ghost on a regular basis, or it's haunting you. And there needs to be, you know, something at stake, like you're really fearful or you're going to have to move or you fear it's escalating. It's really important that there's something at stake for you and why you want to eradicate the spirit from your home. And, you know, also, if there is a history, because ultimately what they're planning to do is if there's a ghost that is in your home and you know it's been there for a long time, either prior to you moving in, there's a history for it, they're going to try to recreate that location that the ghost came from to draw it out. So it's a little different of a paranormal show, but we are looking for people who have really strong presence in their home and unwanted presence. Doesn't have to be demonic, just something that you don't want in your home.
So if you've got a ghost that's malevolent or frightening you and your family, you're at your wit's end, you're looking to maybe even have to move, change your life radically, and you reach the end of your rope, you want help, Jackie Pittman might have the answer for you with the new TV program that they're working on. So if you're interested, Jackie, how do they get in touch with you?
I can give them my email. It's paranormal@pittmancasting.com. That's PITMANCasting.com. mancasting.com, or they can call my office and we can give them more details. My phone number is 818-666-3606.
Do that again.
818-666-3606.
Is your number really 666?
I know, right?
Oh, and then the laugh to follow it. I love that.
but it is my true office number, 818-666-3606. But if you email us at paranormal@pitmancasting.com, we will send you the application either way, but you can give us a few details about your haunting.
Right. So when you email her, make sure you include your first and last name, include your phone number, include any working emails, be really forthcoming, and then give them a blurb about what's happening to you so that they have a grasp of your story, and someone will try to get back to you. And then if you're having a hard time, oh, that's so much to remember, Dave, I'm listening, I'm driving in my car, I'm never going to remember these emails, Dave@darknessradio.com. Just send them to me with all the information I asked for, and I'll forward them on to Jackie. Again, Dave@darknessradio.com. All of you have written to me before. You can write to me again. So if you've got that recurring haunting in your house and you are at your wit's end, you're looking for help, let us help you help yourself to a heaping helping of paranormal activity. We'll pass those information emails on to the right people and see if they might be able to help you in the forthcoming episode of the series that they're doing. All right, Jackie, very cool. Hopefully you'll get some answers and find some people to help.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Jackie Pittman dropping by. A lot of cool shows popping up on Travel Channel, Tim. They've got a lot going on. Next Friday, we're going to be able to sit down with Jack Osborne.
Yeah.
And Katrina Weidman. We're going to be talking about Portals to Hell. So we'll be discussing that. That'll air on our show next Sunday.
Yeah.
So make sure you jot that down. I just mentioned that you and I are sitting down to interview him on Friday, but the show will be Sunday next week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tim, before we get started with supernatural news and Parashare, I do want to mention that we had a chance to see a new movie, part of the Conjuring universe. This doesn't really have anything to do with the Conjuring movies or Annabelle or any of that. It's part of the Conjuring universe. Well, how is that, Dave? Well, one of the characters was a character that was featured in the movie Annabelle, the father, priest. I think Perez was his name.
Yeah. Yep.
He's like the only tie to this story, but really has nothing to do with Ed and Lorraine Warren or any of the rest, but it does tie to the Conjuring universe, which I think is pretty remarkable that they've done this job. I mean, they've had some really good spin-offs of the Conjuring universe. Of course, from the first Conjuring, we had the Annabelle movie, then Annabelle Origins came out, and then we had the second Conjuring movie, which introduced us to the Nun. Of course, we had the Nun movie then that came out. This one is called The Curse of La Llorona, Tim. La Llorona.
You're getting close. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And it's opening up, just opened up nationwide. And I'll tell you what, I, again, went into it with very low expectations, which I like to do in horror movies because they can end up being the first Annabelle or something really good like the second Annabelle. So I'm never quite sure which way things are going to fall. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a great kind of escape from the norm. Mm-hmm. I like that they went back to this kind of storytelling ghost story. And I guess my only complaint from the entire movie is that they showed her a little too much. I would have rather seen the fleeting movements of her dress off the corner of the screen or her shadowy figure moving down the hall instead of the shock value of her face repeatedly. I don't know how you felt about that, but I wish they would have used more Jaws context in this movie. So the less you see, the creepier it seems to me. Because then the jump scare of her face was really kind of gone for me, around the fourth or fifth time she pops up. But the story I thought was really great. And the Curse of La Llorona is just the fact that this woman finds out her husband has cheated on her. So to punish him, she kills both of her children and then spends eternity trying to replace those souls. So she's after our children. And once she marks you in your family, there's really no getting away from it. It's a popular trope, kind of like The Ring and The Grudge and certain movies like that. But I enjoyed it. and I thought it was a lot of fun. There is, the gentle nod to the Conjuring universe with Father Perez. He even mentions having had to deal with darkness and evil before, and they show a quick clip of him carrying Annabelle out of the house from the first Annabelle movie. But I would say on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being it sucked, 5 being amazing, I would put this squarely at about 3 3/4 for me. Okay. 3.5 to 3 3/4 stars. It was really good. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is that doesn't make me love it to a 5-star review, but it's certainly, to me, it's a really good psychological horror movie.
Yeah, here's what's interesting is my nephew and his girlfriend came with. They sat right behind me, and I wanted to get a different perspective. So, because I think there's a part of me that's a little jaded. I'm going to admit that. But the one thing that was interesting is, they did go back to the jump scares in this movie, which is good. It's about time. We've got. The creepy thriller genre, I think, has gone its way. We've had enough of those, I think, for now. I think it's time to get back to the jump scares in movies, to be honest with you. And I
guess I don't understand the meaning of that. Like, The Conjuring, to me, was a good, creepy, psychological thriller, but it had some jump scares. This kind of falls in that same. I felt like their whole pantheon, their whole little collection of movies has always been kind of the jump scare psychological. Are you seeing something different?
I think there's a bit more, especially with The Conjuring, there was a little more creepy thriller than jump scares. They'd scattered the blows a little bit, as far as jump scares went. This had a lot more jump scares in it than I think people would be expecting. Even with The Nun, it was more creepy, and then you'd get the occasional jump scare. I think this one has a little more both barrels blasting, throughout the movie. There's a lot more, I think, which is good. Because it also balances that with a good script. I think the script is good. I think the acting is good. And I think actually you do get a little bit of empathy for not only, the characters in the beginning of the movie, but the family that's being haunted during the movie. A good amount. I won't say that you buy all in, but I would say that there's a good amount of empathy for that family, which makes you. And I think that's what's missing. I think that's the part that you're missing. Because I agree with you. There's something missing in this movie, and I think that's what it is. You don't totally buy in. I think that's the part that's missing.
Well, it is a famous legend.
Yes,
this wasn't something that was just created.
Correct.
And was never anything that Ed and Lorraine went up against, to my knowledge.
Right, it is, and you're right. It's a true legend. In fact, I watched a ghost hunting video about La Llorona. There you go. Huh? How do you like that? But
it's all right.
Yeah. It works. I'm continental.
You just keep working at it. You'll get closer to La Llorona.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like you're drowning there. Maybe she's got you. But I would go a little bit lower. Now, I'm going to give you a true movie scale and a horror movie scale. When I rate horror movies, I tend to go a little higher and give it its own genre. On a horror movie scale, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. On a true movie scale, if you're rating it against every movie, I would give it about a 2.5 out of 5. But as far as horror movie goes, I think it's a better horror movie than most. I just think it's well put together. It's got a good story. It's got a good legend, and there are plenty of jump scares. And I think it's everything that horror fans are looking for. There's a reason it's being released closer to the summer season than it is even around Halloween or anything else, because it's a solid movie. It's a good movie. So,
well, and I think that they're doing it kind of like the Star Wars, right? You've got the Solo story, and then you've got the next Star Wars franchise movie that came out. And I think they're doing the same with this. La Llorona came out now, and then we'll see Annabelle 3 later on. And I'll tell you what, the ad for that looks really great. They're certainly taking liberties now, not necessarily balancing on the case files of Ed and Lorraine, but Ed and Lorraine are back in this movie. It's their daughter that is being babysat, and one of the babysitters gets curious and goes down into their kind of demonic museum where they have kept all their artifacts, ends up touching many of the artifacts and kind of releasing the energies from them. And then it turns into kind of a good old-fashioned freak show, horror show with these energies stalking the babysitters and the daughter until it appears Ed and Lorraine show up to wrangle them back to their spots. That looks pretty intriguing to me, and I thought it was a great way to segue to more fantasy fable stories as opposed to the quote-unquote real stories that have been covered in the first two Conjuring movies. Yeah,
that has some promise, and I think that's kind of the showdown that everyone's looking forward to and wants to see. And I think it's okay to go into, for lack of a better term, fan fiction. I think we should. It's about time. I mean, not everything has to be based on a case or has to be true to life, and I think in God forgive me, John Zaffis, I don't think we have to stick to the script, so to speak, or we have to stick to true life in order to come up with a...
I don't think they did that much in the first two Conjuring movies,
right.
From what's been told afterwards.
And
but
we didn't do it in Haunting in Connecticut either, to be honest. But I think we can skirt around some stuff, and I think we can come up with some fan fiction in order to come up with an entertaining movie, as long as people can separate truth from fiction. I think we're okay.
Right. If you just go on the concepts that these are based on case files or aspects of the stories that they've done, we're fine with it. And I know they're still working on a Conjuring 3, which I think I read comes out in 2020. And I'm hoping follows in the story of the nun, so we might see the werewolf case.
Oh, okay.
I believe there's a werewolf case that was kind of mentioned, but then there was also the kind of the reluctant hero from that movie.
Oh,
is based on a book called Satan's Harvest by Ed and Lorraine Warren. That was one of the true ghost story books that really freaked me out. So that's going to be something to see where it goes. And I know Nun 2 is coming out as well. So they're just, I think what they've done right with the Conjuring universe is that they've done what they were hoping to do with the Universal Monsters Dark Universe. But they actually found a way to make this a compelling series.
Yeah. Well, I think they just, there's just a giant misstep with that, and I don't know if it was time between, we've talked about before with the Dracula movie, if that would have been the beginning, and then
right, Dracula Untold was fantastic.
If that would have been the beginning and then you branch from there, great. Tom Cruise's Mummy movie, not so much.
Nope. All right, well, let's get started. We've got some supernatural news to share, Tim. Where shall we begin today's journey?
Well, when you come from the six, Dave, evidently that's bad luck.
From the what?
From the six, Dave. That's a little...
Are you speaking street lingo to me again, Tim?
It is, Dave. It's a little shout out to all my little homies, all my little millennials out there. They know when you come from the six, you're talking about Drake. That's what you're talking about. And evidently there's one football club in Italy. We call it soccer here in the States. Let's for sure right now just piss off everybody overseas and let them know that that's not real football. Real football involves shoulder pads and helmets and getting CTE and ending up with some sort of weird mental disease at the end of your life. Real football involves hitting guys and laying them out. But Italian football evidently involves pissing off rappers and getting bad luck streaks from them. I don't know. That's what I'm reading in front of me. An Italian football club, AS Roma, has banned its players from taking pictures with Drake, of all people, because he's so unlucky, Dave. I don't think so. The man's worth millions. He's at the top of his game. He's
well. Just keep reading, and you'll see why they find him unlucky. He may be lucky personally for Drake's world, but it's the outside world that he influences. Tim, to every yin there is a yang. To every dark there is a light. To every Tim there is a Dave. And you understand that Drake may be lucky in the music industry and lucky in love, but when it comes to cheering on soccer teams,
well,
you don't want that guy on your side, Tim.
All right. Well, the theory that Drake jinxes athletes wherever he's photographed with them or curses sports teams whenever he supports them refuses to go away. I don't know. I'd like to have him in my corner personally. And he's got a lot of money. Italian soccer club AS Roma has even banned its players from socializing with the rapper. And it seemingly does not want anything, normal or paranormal, getting in the way of its hunt for a qualification spot in the next season's lucrative UEFA Champions League competition. The Champions League is Europe's grandest soccer tournament, and its winner could end up $75 million richer in prize money alone. It's fair to say that Roma wants its players focused, as the team is currently 5th in the Serie A and must finish 4th or higher if it is to reach next season's Champions League. One way to stay focused is to stay clear of Drake, apparently. That's the theory. The wildly popular Canadian. And there's only one at a time, Dave. You can only have one wildly popular Canadian at a time.
Sorry, Celine Dion.
Yeah, no, she's done.
Your reign is over.
Yep, she's been done for a while. It started out with Anne Murray. Then it went to Bryan Adams. And then
Shania Twain.
Yeah, Shania Twain took it for a while.
Can we vote her back onto the island?
I'd like to, but unfortunately no. And then Celine Dion had it for a while. Now it's Drake. Renowned for smash hit singles like Back to Back and In My Feelings. I know, Dave, you may have heard it around the house, but not sure what that noise was coming from the kids' room. Was seen with the Paris Saint-Germain fullback. I believe it's Layvin Kurzawa last week. I don't know if you're familiar with the fullback, Layvin Kurzawa. I'm not.
No.
And I'm sure he's a fine young man, whoever it is. In PSG's next match, the dominant League One leader suffered a defeat, only its second of the season, Dave, when it got humbled 5-1 by, I believe it's Lille. I'm not sure. I'm not watching that sport, to be honest with you. In a tweet published this week, Roma responded by saying, all Roma players banned from taking photos with Drake until the end of the season. Roma is renowned for its viral social media strategy and has gone viral before for mocking Mark Wahlberg's daily routine with its own brutal 2:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. schedule. Therefore, it's likely Roma's post is a Twitter stunt rather than actual club policy. Regardless, the Drake curse appears to be a very real thing. After all, Drake has pledged support to the University of Kentucky and the Toronto Raptors in the past, but neither basketball team has enjoyed championship success since. Oh, poor Drake. Drake's curse transcended basketball and infiltrated combat sports when he was photographed holding the Irish flag aloft for his friend Conor McGregor. Oh, poor Conor. At the UFC weigh-in for the Khabib fight on UFC 229 in October of 2018. But poor McGregor was conclusively beaten and submitted in the 4th round of a wild fight. I remember that one. Poor Drake.
Hold on. Dear Drake's management team, this is Dave Schrader, host of Beyond the Darkness. Yeah. And recently I sent a T-shirt to the performer known as Drake.
Oh, you did?
Please return T-shirt. Don't let him see it, touch it, smell it, or feel it. Successfully yours and hoping to stay that way, Dave Schrader.
Yeah, because we be all in our feelings. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
We would like to stay alive for a while.
Worst thing I need is to see him showing up on stage in front of millions with our T-shirt on. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
We're not a sporting team. Dear Drake's management team, please forgive the last email. I was obviously high on crystal meth and must not be taken seriously. Please allow Drake to wear the shirt and nothing else but the shirt on stage.
Oh,
your friend.
Wow.
Successfully yours, Dave Schrader.
Did you send him the sweatpants? I mean,
son of a.
Probably want him to cover up down below. I mean,
so that's the tale of.
Otherwise,
Drake
everybody will see the 6. You know what I'm saying? You want to put the sweatpants on.
No, why? You just yeah.
Huh? Did what?
Was that it on Drake the Jinx?
That's it. No, he's not the Jinx, Dave. He's.
Well, I don't know. If you're one of the teams he backs, it seems he is, Tim.
Got the new single out with Meek Mill, and everything's good, and everything's good, man.
I wonder if he's been in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico lately, Tim.
Why would he be?
Because a farm manager is telling how a strange animal seems to have killed more than 20 sheep and 50 hens. Was Drake out there going, yo, this is one of the craziest farms. I support this farm. And releasing the soul of Chupacabra?
Wow. I hope not.
We're going to Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. Don Simplico Martinez is certain that it was not a dog that killed 20 sheep and 51 chickens just a few days ago, because he left no trace of blood in the corals. And the hole he opened to enter and escape was more than 2 meters high. So either it climbed or it flew like Chupacabra do.
It's catchy.
That's my own little rap right there.
That's catchy. Yeah.
A watchman who had taken care of the animals heard the uproar and came out brave with a machete. But when he saw what it was, he came back. So not so brave even with a machete. He did not want to see it well, he says, because of the darkness. But he describes it as a black and bigger than a dog, similar to a hyena. It was tremendous in size. Interviewed by this means Simplico mentions that he arrived in Ciudad Juarez on September 5th of 1985 from the state of Guerrero. Tim, I believe. Guerrero. It's hard to say that word.
Guerrero.
As he likes animals, he began to buy them 2 by 2. Okay, Noah. And over time, they went on to reproducing to the extent that he has come to have a large quantity, which he sells, exchanges, or kills for personal consumption. His property is located in the Colonia Granjas Unidas, behind the cement of Juarez, where the Sierra de Juarez begins, Tim.
Ah, yes.
2 years ago, he explained, it was his first encounter with that unknown beast, when 7 sheep mysteriously appeared dead on the same property. 8 or 10 days later, with a similar method, 40 laying hens were killed, which were crushed with a single picket appeared on the back. Through which they would have sucked the blood, but there was no skin or plumage or liquid left. Nothing had happened in all this time until last March 28th. Something again attacked on his ranch, this time taking 20 sheep, 13 of which died instantly. 7 were injured, which are losing their life one by one in the following days. I was just thinking about setting up a trap last Saturday, but I did not. And at dawn on Sunday, the massive attack happened. Again, the unidentified animal left 50 dead hens, of which 25 were fattening, and 26 of each were egg layers, Tim.
Egg layers,
Chupacabra's horrible. Yeah.
Jeez.
The only one who came out unscathed was a goat.
Of course.
He notes. Yeah. He adds that he has 3 brave dogs, but they panicked and could do nothing against the animal, to the extent that they fled the ranch. Chicken dogs. That's what I said. Chicken dogs.
Oh, I love me some chicken dogs. You ever had those?
No.
Chicken dogs?
The night watchman is also very scared because he does not know what could have caused so much damage. In my case, I cried. The truth, because with a lot of sacrifice, I made myself of those animals and I was left with nothing. I became very fond of them, especially in a nice dipping sauce. Simplico refers that a university will make a detailed study of the injuries presented by the last load of dead animals, and it will be the state's attorney's office of Chihuahua that pays. In addition, video cameras will be installed to document a possible return of the beast. But he insists when a dog attacks other animals like pigs or goats, it bites, like legs and bodies, and leaves everything destroyed. But in this case, it goes straight to the jugular and leaves no traces of blood. So it does not rule out that as an unclassified animal, Tim, this very well could be the workings of, as we know it, the cup of coffee in American. They know it there as El Chupacabra.
Scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what's not scary, Tim?
What's that?
Exactly how long this commercial will last.
Oh.
You know what you can do in a minute, Tim?
What's that?
Well, you can get an offer for your car with TrueCar. That's right. In the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, or just do a few sit-ups, you can listen to my voice and get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or at home. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions and you're going to get an accurate true cash offer from a local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you together. You can ask questions and get the answers you need, so there's never any surprises. Then simply leave with your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. All right, Tim, where shall we go next in the world of supernatural news?
We're heading across the pond to Hull, Dave, where their most haunted house was visited by an exorcist with some chilling results. 39 DeGray Street has apparently been the scene of some much haunted activity, according to this article. An exorcist has been called to examine Hull's most notorious haunted house, 39 DeGray Street, located just off Beverly Road, has apparently been the scene of spooky activities, including chairs moving, objects flying through the air, and candles blowing themselves out. Candles blowing themselves out, Dave! Just saying. People claim to have even seen children appearing from within the walls and women being strangled with their scarves while walking around the house. The property is owned by Andy Yates and is now empty. Now, after several ghost hunting evenings held at the property and even a TV feature on the haunted house, exorcist Mario Tebanoff from Holland visited the house with his team to investigate. He partnered up with the Yorkshire Ghost Hunts group and came over to Hull with his team to examine the house for himself on Friday evening. I've been wandering around the house with my equipment for an hour or so, and I've already picked up on so much activity, said the 56-year-old who heads up Paranormal Research Europe. There's a portal to another dimension in this house, and it's most definitely a haunted place. There's a man here in his 50s that I've seen, and he's not a nice person, but he didn't try to do me any harm, he went on to add. I don't think he sees us, he just sees himself. Only the home's surrounded by furniture and decorations that are just the same as they were when he lived here. It's like he is just stuck in time and he doesn't realize that he needs to move on. The exorcist is employed in his home country to go into people's homes and expel evil spirits within them, and this power is something he says he has had from a very young age. From being a child at around the age of 10, I've sensed the paranormal, and since then, I've continued to pursue it, said Mr. Tebanoff. People ask me what it's like being able to see and cast out spirits. He went on to say, well, it's not a gift, it's not nice, it's hell, really, but I know I have to do it. The experience of visiting 39 DeGray Street was a chilling one for Mr. Tebanoff. This is definitely one of the most haunted houses I've ever visited, he went on to say, and I've been all around the world with Paranormal Research Europe. There are most certainly ghostly presences here, and they want us out, and I'm sure they'll do whatever they can to achieve it. We are recording all our findings on our devices, and we have had our equipment play up due to the paranormal presences, and are recording findings that are off the charts on our monitors. The paranormal investigator visit was organized by Mark Penn, co-founder of Yorkshire Ghost Hunts. He visited Holland to bring the Paranormal Research Europe group over to Hull, and he hoped that the investigation at DeGray Street would bring out more information on the haunted house. Yorkshire Ghost Hunts has been coming to this house for some time, and we have experienced things before, said Mr. Penn. The place is allegedly one of the most haunted places. I can't say what is really in this house, as nothing has been scientifically proven, but what I can say is that things have happened inside this house that we just can't explain. So there you go.
Speaking of things that you can't explain, I keep turning my ringer off on my phone, and it keeps, I don't know how you say, it keeps putting itself back on. My phone keeps turning itself on, Tim.
That sounds like a personal problem.
That sounds weird.
Just saying.
Weird when I say it out loud like that?
Yeah.
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 I don't know which way I want to go with my stories here. All right, I'm going to do one more weird kind of animal story.
Okay.
Before the break. There's a woman shocked after capturing a photo of a ghost dog which haunts Roundhay Park, Tim. A mythical ghost dog alleged to haunt Leeds' biggest park has been captured on camera. Stephanie Smith was taking a picture of Roundhay's Park Victorian Folly near to Waterloo Lake on a recent visit with her parents and daughter, Danny Louise, age 11. But looking back at the picture, Stephanie noticed a strange, shadowy figure in the corner. After zooming in and lightening the image, the Leeds mom got shivers down her spine, spotting what looks like a demonic dog lurking in the shadows, looking at a man walking up the stairs towards the Folly. Freaked out, Stephanie, 33, did some, and is now convinced the huge black dog is a Gytrash, an apparition said to haunt parks in Yorkshire. The large black demonic creature has been described by some as being the size of a pony, Tim, and I know how much you want a pony. Although this one is said to be a foreboding omen, scaring unsuspecting walkers. Stephanie, who works as a cleaner, said, I froze when I realized the shadow was some sort of animal. It took me a moment to figure out what it was, but once I could see the head, ears, tail, and legs, there was no mistaking. It was a demon dog. It's monstrous, almost like a werewolf. And the worst part is that it's in a position like it's going to pounce out, which terrifies me. It's like it was hiding away from the light, like I'd caught it off guard. It spooked me out because I've never seen anything quite like it. Roundhay Park's Folly was built in 1811 by local builder George Nettleton and been subject in the past of eerie photos taken appearing to show spirits. But in 2015, a family snapped a picture showing the outline of a woman on the monument's steps. The only person I saw other than my lot was the grass cutter, Stephanie said. I swear even the dog walkers were miles away from where we were. My dad said it was an Alaskan, but it could be a ghostly dog. They do say you're able to get a glimpse of it as it passes and goes away. I still believe it is what I think, that it's a Gytrash, a black wolf demonic dog stalking the castle and the grounds of Roundhay Park. Stephanie has believed in paranormal activity since she was little and claims she was visited in bed by her dead grandmother, Mabel, when she was 17, Tim. She was just 17. Yeah, you know what I mean. The way she looked was way beyond compare, Tim. Sorry, I'm launching into a Beatles tune here. Hey, we want to hear from you. We want you to share your stories with us. And you can do that by calling our Voices from Beyond voicemail, just like this caller. It's 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977. Don't just be a passive listener. Be an aggressive story telling of sharers of stories on the show. Mm-hmm. Radio's easier than it looks, Tim. I don't know why people can't do it better.
I don't know.
Call our Voices from Beyond voicemail and be a part of the program, 651-300-4977, just like this caller.
Hi there, Dave and Tim. This is Jeff from Ventura, California. I had something pretty strange happen to me a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to call and tell you guys about it. I'm a security guard here in downtown Ventura. I guard telephone poles and parts to make them, so you can imagine that gets pretty exciting. So usually when the sun goes down, I spend my time looking up to the skies, counting airplanes, and trying to figure out the constellations. So on this night, March 17th, 2019, is a Sunday at around 9:35. It's a pretty cloudless night. I'm looking at the stars and stuff, and I notice that from the Catalina Islands, this cloud starts to form. And it forms pretty quickly in about 2 or so minutes, and it's just about a few blocks away from my site. And, this is pretty weird, but, I don't give it any sort of credit. And so I go back to, what I was doing. And all of a sudden, I notice this large green light come from the cloud. It's an oval green light, and it's fairly big, so I figured it was just a low-flying plane. It was a lot bigger than the lights I usually see when I look up. And so I'm looking at this thing, and it's heading south, and all of a sudden, it U-turns and starts heading north. And it goes from a green light and kind of morphs into two red ovals, on top of each other, or in an arrowhead shape, I guess, but it's all red, it just morphed from green to red and then changed shape and everything. And before I can wrap my head around what's going on, this thing disappears, it turns invisible and there's no light. So I'm looking around trying to figure out where it went, trying to see if I can see what it is, and it reappears back in the same shape, in the same green oval form that I had seen when it first started. And it's still heading north, and then all of a sudden it turns abruptly and starts heading east towards where I'm at. And then after a few seconds, it U-turns again, starts going west, and shoots right back into the cloud. And within another 2 minutes, that cloud goes back into the ocean over the Catalina Islands. Now, I really don't know what I saw. I mean, I don't think there's any people doing stunts in their airplanes at 9:40 at night in the middle of a cloud. So whatever I saw, I don't think it's anything we really know about. I mean, I'm not, I don't really believe all that much in visiting aliens and stuff like that, but I can't explain what I saw. So, was it aliens? Maybe. Who knows? There are a lot of USO sightings out here on the coast around the Catalina Islands, so I think it is pretty interesting that they kind of happen in the same spot. But I don't know, that's up for everyone else to decide. I don't know what I saw. So thanks for letting me share, and I listen to the show all the time. It helps me get through work because, like I said, it's pretty exciting here. Thanks again. Bye.
If you like our show, you're going to love Offbeat with Ricky Anderson and Mir Harris on Podcast One. Join the head of A&R for the Kanye West-founded label, Good Music, and the music executive turned activist as they sit down for strange stories and offbeat conversations with some of the biggest names in music, comedy, entertainment, and more. Download new episodes of Offbeat with Ricky Anderson and Mir Harris every week on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
Beyond the darkness.
Welcome back to the program. This is the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm Dave. That's Tim. And we want to thank so many of you that went out in droves and started doing reviews for us on iTunes again. You're pushing us back up into the stratosphere on iTunes. So for those of you that have not, if you could help us out, it definitely exposes us to a bigger, broader, wider audience the more of the 5-star and positive reviews we get. So if it wouldn't be too much to ask, if you are listening to the show via iTunes, please go and give a review for the show. It costs nothing to do that. It's, give us 5 stars. If they could give us 6, I'd ask for 6, Tim, but I'm just going to ask for 5. That's all. All right. Just for 5 stars, and give us a nice little comment. It's always nice to hear from you, the listeners, and it helps bury the couple of haters out there who, unfortunately, it's sad that people will go on and give a negative comment and draw you down just because they just don't like the paranormal. It's like, well, why did you listen to begin with? Don't listen if you don't like the paranormal. So that's the case, and your help is greatly appreciated, so make sure you do that. And one more thing, if you could help us out with this too. Listen, we do a true crime show every Tuesday, and we are very proud of that program. It's been a part of our history now going on like 8 years of doing true crime talk radio. The last 2 years have been through our Patreon site. It's $5 a month, and what that gives you is access to the last 2 years worth of shows, every brand new program when it's released. So if you could help us out and support us and support the work that we do by going up and signing up for that, it would be awesome. You can do all that and find ways to sign up by going to darknessradio.com, scroll down to the True Crime Tuesday, and click on that. You can follow through so that you can subscribe. Or if you already have a Droid phone and you're using our service on our free app, the Darkness Radio app for the Droid, then just go in and you can sign up for True Crime Tuesday through there. Just click on the little banner and get it signed up. $5 a month, Tim. That's it. Yeah. $5 a month gets you access to 2 years worth of archives. It gives you access to every brand new episode. Not only do you get the best in true crime, but you also get, pardon me, I'm fighting a bit of a cough here, but you also get dumb crimes, stupid criminals, and a lot of laughs and weird stories every week. So go check it out as we cover the best and most unusual true crime cases and some of the funniest and weirdest stories out on the world about true crime. That's what you can do. Support us that way. Thank you very much. Let's get back to some supernatural news. Tim, where are we going next?
Well, Dave, first what I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do, Dave? I'm going to shout out some people who gave some 5-star reviews because I'm looking at them right now.
Okay.
I want to say what's up to Jan Cat, who gave a 5-star review. Autotech Josh 98, who gave a 5-star review. I think it's Bruce. He's got 2 Y's in his name. Bruyys. He says we're the best.
Maybe Bryce or Bruce.
Bruce. I don't know. He gave a 5-star review, says best paranormal podcast, period. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah. Space Ghost 1107, Nurse Rock 77, who gave a 5-star review. New People's Champ. I like that one. That's a good one. Mayhem Mars and Bobbies and many, many more. Who are giving 5-star reviews. S Marsh 19, Squeak 87401. We love you guys. So thank you very much. Keep them coming. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Where are we off to next in the world of supernatural news, Tim?
We're going to talk about Simon Cowell and his new 15 million pound mansion, Dave. It's haunted.
That's how much it cost? 15 million pounds?
It did, yeah, and it comes with a very interesting visitor, Dave.
Who's that?
A gay ghost. I don't know how you determine the sexuality of a ghost, Dave. I've never tried, but this one comes with a gay Roman spirit.
Okay, a gay Roman spirit.
A gay Roman spirit. I mean, I know they roam. Roam if you want to. Roam around the world. I know that song. I just don't know how you determine a gay Roman ghost. Simon Cowell, you know him, you love him. You probably have thrown things at your television watching him. His most recent real estate investment is believed to be haunted by the spirit of a gay Roman. That's what it says here. Simon Cowell's new 15 million pound mansion is haunted by a gay ghost. Former owner Christian Levitt claims the London mansion is haunted by, is it Antinous, the lover of Hadrian? Not the collider. But I bet he collided a few times, if you know what I mean. Hadrian ruled the Roman Empire from 117 to 138. That he did. Levitt claims, according to The Sun, that he unleashed the Bithynian. I didn't study Greek, Dave. You know why? I hate the feta cheese. It smells weird. Just saying. Greek spirit onto the property. The hedge fund billionaire said he bought a statue of Antinous in 2014. It was delivered in a crate, he said. When I was locking up, I heard the sound of heavy objects being knocked over from the drawing room where Antinous was lying in his box. He can be Antinous anytime he wants. He's Antinous. The same happened the next 2 nights, but there was nobody there. A neighbor allegedly has further added credence to his story. There was no Clearwater revival involved, evidently. Antinous was a favorite of Hadrian Peterson, by the way, beat his kids. I don't know if you know that or not, Dave.
Allegedly.
No, it really happened with a switch.
Allegedly.
They got him.
Oh, good grief. Anyway,
we got him.
The story.
Antinous was a favorite of Hadrian by 128, according to historians. Considered particularly beautiful, the two shared 2 years together. He died in October of 130 under mysterious circumstances when he went on a voyage along the Nile. It is still a mystery of why he died. Many speculated he was murdered by other members of the empire. Following his death, Hadrian defied Antinous and founded a cult devoted to his worship. A city named after Antinous was founded after his place of death. Hadrian also founded games in commemoration of Antinous. Cowell is apparently not a stranger to the paranormal. Believe it or not, the music tycoon said he lived in a previous home that had a poltergeist. The dead just want to make contact and say hello, he told The Sun 3 years ago. My mom and dad were staying with me, and I heard this banging on the door. I went to their room and said, "You were banging on my door," and they said it wasn't us. There was a dog in the house freaking out, too. The following day, I heard this crashing noise, and all the stuff had fallen in the kitchen. There was no explanation, no logical explanation, that was. There was no wind, but there was definitely a presence, but I wasn't afraid. This encounter resulted in an exorcism, Simon later revealed.
Really? An exorcism?
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
Living life on the edge.
Who'd have thought
with
that
the paranormal?
Who'd have thought that any priest could come near Simon Cowell and he wouldn't explode into flames? I'm just saying.
Wow.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Wow.
No idea. Yeah.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Are you up for a healing?
Sure. Why not?
There's some healing crystals that are being passed around out there.
Oh, how lovely. Yeah.
We're going to Dickinson, Texas. Police say a woman tried to tell them that shards of meth in her purse were really healing crystals. Friendship police said that they stopped Cactus Calderas after she failed to signal a lane change. Officers said she looked nervous but gave police permission to search her vehicle. Police said they found the meth in her purse, along with butane lighters and a small pipe. Calderas is charged with possession of a controlled substance that we like to call healing crystals, Tim.
Ah.
Healing crystal. What kind of world do you want to live in where you're not allowed to smoke up a good healing crystal from time to time?
Well, they make for an interesting smoke, that's for sure. They have kind of a like a crystal-y feel in the back of your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, we want you to be a part of the show. Call our Voices from Beyond voicemail. Share your paranormal encounter. It can be up to 3 minutes in length. If you have a longer story to share, just call back and continue your story. Each recording can be up to 3 minutes long. Tim will connect them all together for one cohesive story. How do you call in? Simple and free. Did I mention, Tim, free and simple?
Didn't. Yeah.
651-300-4977, 651-300-4977. That's the number to call to be a part of the show, just like this caller.
This is Chuck out of Oklahoma City. I was just calling to tell you about the historic Fort Reno and what we like to call the Victorian House. Well, a few years back, I was a member of a team. We used to do tours there all the time, about 2 or 3 times a month. We'd get inside the Victorian house and do EVP sessions, and there was just always something going on. Now, like any other good team, we believe we figured out something. So we would set up toys in the attic for the little girl spirit that was believed to have been there. So one night, me and a fellow team member were up in the attic to go check on the toys, see if they had been played with. And we're just discussing things back and forth when I got uneasy. I looked over and we didn't have our flashlights on. There was barely any moon out in Oklahoma. Sometimes it's dark and, redneck nowhere country like that. And me and him were talking, and finally I said, okay, something's wrong. So I turned my flashlight on, and I was facing a chimney with a face that had sucked back inside the chimney as soon as the flashlight hit. I looked over at my former team member, and he looked at me, and I asked, did you see what I saw? And he's like, I believe so. We discussed it, and thought that was pretty creepy, so we just kept it to ourselves and went back downstairs to the middle level where they were doing a session. I'd take out my EMF and set it in the hallway because I'd always kind of heard things coming from that direction. There was a bathroom next to it where you could hear a little girl giggling, but there's always something in the hallway. So we're sitting there and letting all the people do their questions, and I'm watching my EMF meter rise up in the air, drop back down, rise up in the air, drop back down. So to this day, I have not been allowed back in it. They shut it down for tours, or you can only go outside, and I'm no longer a member of the team. However, there's something that draws me to that particular house. Last time I took my wife and our children. They wanted to see what Daddy always did. So we went there, and as we're walking up, I got a feeling, and my wife looked over and told me I could see something moving, and it shot through the house. And when I walked up to touch the glass, the whole glass was vibrating, and it was a feeling of come in. I don't know. I just get a feeling of love, dread, and hatred, and I feel like I'm going to end up in that house when I've passed on. I don't have an explanation as to why I feel that way. Perhaps you may have something or an idea, but one of my stories, and I've been on here long enough, I will call back and give some more. Thank you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Love you guys.
Thank you very much for calling in and being a part of the program. All right, Tim, where are we off to next with Supernatural News?
Well, this looks like quite the scary story, Dave. A terrified OAP haunted by abusive spirit for 6 years is now free from the ghost. It's about time, I say. An OAP, I have no idea what an OAP is, Dave, who claims she was haunted by a ghost which constantly flushed her loo. Oh, it flushed her toilet. Says she is finally free. That's a lot on the water bill, Dave. After spiritual healers use Skype to banish the ghoul. Technology is such a wonderful thing. I'll just say that. Yeah. 83-year-old Emily Sparks said she was haunted by a spirit called Joyce. Oh, from Three's Company. Who died in her... It's so sad that Joyce died. Just saying.
She didn't die. You're confusing the listeners, Tim.
Are you
Stick
sure?
to the facts.
Okay.
Facts only.
All right.
Just the facts, sir.
Emily Sparks, 83, says she was haunted by a spirit called Joyce who died in her one-bedroom sheltered flat before she moved in 7 years ago. Miss Sparks said the spirit who leeched off her, stole her personal possession, pulled her hair out while she slept, and even left her with a painful earache. Are you sure this wasn't Joyce from Three's Company?
It's definitely not Joyce DeWitt. I've looked her up. I've Googled her, and she is very much alive.
Okay. The OAP, I still don't know what that is, was so frightened by the paranormal antics that she was forced to spend 2 nights in a nearby travel lodge. That's hell on earth right there. To escape the ghoul, unless they want to advertise, and Travelodge is the best hotel I've ever stayed the night at. To escape the ghoul, but Joyce even followed her to the hotel, evidently to get a good night's sleep, I'm guessing. The desperate mother of 4 said finally got rid of the terrifying ghoul after contacting Glade Foundation, which is not the foundation that actually gets rid of things with wonderful smells, but a spiritual healing and teaching institute based in Colchester, Essex. Speaking of the ordeal, Miss Sparks said, I contacted my friend in Spirit Messenger, and I wrote her to tell her all about it. She gave me the number for Ray at Glade Foundation, who uses mind energy to contact the spirits. He said, we don't have to come to you, but I will ring you when she is gone. He rang me on the 12th of March, and very gently he said, she will be gone tomorrow. Ooh, he leaned on her spiritually. I was skeptical, but I prayed that night, and then he rang and said it's over now. At the Glade Foundation, a group of enlightened minds all got together on Skype and managed to tune into her and convince her to go to the light. Otherwise, Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. I'm sure he didn't say that, but,
No, probably not.
No.
So many twists and turns to this story, Tim.
There are. They brought her another spirit, a loved one from the other side of life, and conjured up an image of Southend Beach because she was from Southend. They transported her to the beach at Southend using universal God energy. She saw her loved one on the beach and went through the vortex of life to the other side. Ray said Joyce is in a healing place and won't be allowed back. The 83-year-old moved into the flat in Riddle, Essex in 2011, but she said she was only visited by the phantom 2 years later. The OAP found that a woman called Joyce had died in her flat just 2 years before she moved in. Emily described Joyce as being about 5'3" tall, wearing a mustard-colored cardigan and tweed skirt. So she's quite the fashion plate, just saying. Ms. Sparks said she is amazed that she got through this terrifying ordeal, but she said she will always remember the spirit. She added, my prayers got me through this. My sister said, I don't know how you came through this. She said, how on earth have you not had a nervous breakdown yet? She has left me with an ear injury. I will never forget her. That's the quote. She's gone now and I'm free. I've found my peace. If she left me with an ear injury, I'd send her straight to hell. I'm just saying. That's just
wow.
Well, I'm a little vindictive. Yeah.
Well, Tim, was that it?
That's it. That's a story. I'm sticking to it.
In the story most sent to me this week, Tim?
Yeah.
Helping again to once set straight the zombie over AI apocalypse. I think we've just reached the apex, Tim, of how this is going to start. Are you ready? Are you ready? Just sit back, take a deep breath, and soak this in, Tim.
Okay.
Here's the headline. Scientists have restored some function in the brains of dead pigs. The brains of dead pigs have somewhat been revived by scientists hours after the animals were killed in a slaughterhouse. The Yale University research team is careful to say that none of the brains regain the kind of organized electrical activity associated with consciousness or awareness. Still, the experiment described Wednesday in the journal Nature showed that a surprising amount of cellular function was either preserved or restored. The implications of this study have staggered ethicists as they contemplate how this research could move forward and how it fits into the current understanding of what separates the living from the dead, or perhaps, Tim, the undead. It was mind-blowing, says Nita Farahani, who studies the ethics of emerging technologies at Duke Law School. My initial reaction was pretty shocked. It's a groundbreaking discovery, but it's also really fundamentally changes a lot of what the existing beliefs are in neuroscience about the irreversible loss of brain function once there is deprivation of oxygen to the brain. The brain is extremely sensitive to a lack of oxygen and shuts down quickly. But researchers have long known that viable cells can be removed from post-mortem brains hours after death, says Nenad Seston, a neuroscientist at the Yale School of Medicine in New Haven, Connecticut. Such cells can be studied in a lab dish, Seston says, but the problem is once you do that, you are losing the 3D organization of the brain. He and some colleagues wondered whether it might be possible to study brain cells while leaving them in an intact organ. Doing so meant somehow supplying them with oxygen, nutrients, and various other cell protective chemicals. The scientists have spent the past 6 years developing a technique to do that, testing their methods on around 300 pig heads that they obtained from a local pork processing center. This really was a shot-in-the-dark project, says team member Stefano Daniele. We had no preconceived notion of whether or not this would work. After deciding on the final version of their technology, which they call Brain X, they did a detailed study using 32 pig's heads. Danielle says that while at the slaughterhouse, he and fellow researcher Zvonimir Virgla flushed the brains to clear out residual blood and to cool down the tissue. Back at the lab, they removed the brains from the pig's heads and placed the isolated brains in an experimental chamber. The researchers hooked key blood vessels up to a device that pumped in a specially formulated chemical cocktail for 6 hours, starting about 4 hours after the pig's heads had been killed. So we're talking 10 hours after death, Tim. The brains ended up looking dramatically different from pig brains that were left alone to deteriorate. We found that tissue and cellular structure is preserved, cell death reduced. In addition, some molecular and cellular functions were restored, Seston says. This is not a living, fully functioning brain, but it is cellularly active. The researchers' approach offers a new way to study brain disease or injuries in the lab and to explore the basic biology of the brain. We could actually answer questions that we can't now, Virgila says. This is a real breakthrough for brain research. It's a new tool that bridges the gap between basic neuroscience and clinical research, agrees Andrea Beckel-Michner of the National Institute of Mental Health, who works with the Brain Initiative. The Brain Initiative, which started in 2013 to accelerate neuroscience research, provided funding for the work. The researchers emphasized that the goal was definitely not to restore consciousness in these pig brains. It was something that the researchers were actively worried about, says Stephen Latham, a Yale bioethicist who worked with the team. The scientists constantly monitored the pig's brain's electrical activity, Latham says. If they had seen any evidence that signals associated with consciousness had emerged, they would have used anesthesia and cooling to shut that down immediately. How creepy is that if they would have noticed that the pig's head, the brain, was coming back to awareness, they were ready to shut it down. The reason is they didn't want to do an experiment that raises the ethical question that would be raised if consciousness were being evoked in this brain, Latham says, without first getting some kind of serious ethical guidance. The special solution pumped into the brains included the anti-seizure drug lamotrigine, which is known to block or dampen neural activity. That's because the researchers thought the brain cells might be better preserved and their function might be better restored if they were not active, Latham says. So I've got a kind of a creepy take on that, Tim. Are you ready for a creepy take by Dave?
I'm ready.
So this brain is dead, right? What if after we die, our reincarnation, our souls are out there, their collective, consciousness, and when something sparks to life, that's what draws the soul to that area. What if they spark these brains to life, full functioning life? It sucks in a soul that was ready to reincarnate, only to be found that it's nothing more than a brain. You can have nightmares about that now, my friend. You're welcome.
Wow.
Tests done on single cells taken from the pig brains, which involved washing off solution, showed that individual cells were still capable of electrochemical responses. So it's unclear whether the team would have seen global electrical activity linked to consciousness in the pig brains if the neural activity blocker had been left out of the treatment, or if the blocker had been removed after the cells had been partly revived. That's a very important question, and one that we have discussed at length, Danielle says. We cannot speak with any scientific certainty to the point since we did not run those experiments. The potential ethical questions raised by this research range from how to protect animal welfare to how it might affect organ donation from people declared brain dead. So do you think they're considering reviving a brain dead person, or organ donation of giving a brain that's still alive and active to another physical form?
I think it's to revive brain dead people. I think it is.
The science is so new that we all need to work together to think proactively about its ethical implications so that we can responsibly shape how the science moves forward, says Cara Ramos, director of the Neuroethics Program at the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. A few years ago, the Yale researchers consulted with Neuroethics Working Group convened by the National Institutes of Health's Brain Initiative. That's how Farnay learned of the research. She says these results need to be replicated in other labs to see whether they hold up. But if they do, the findings challenge a lot of assumptions that underlie legal and ethical controls on experiments. If it's a dead animal, it's not subject to any research protections because you wouldn't expect that it would suffer from any pain or distress or need to be thought about in terms of human care or humane care, Farahani says. But if the animal's brain can even partially be revived, she asks, what do we need to do immediately today in order to ensure that there's adequate protections in place for animal research subjects? At this point, Tim, if the animal's brain has been separated from the physical form, we can revive it. You have to break the eggs to make the omelet, right? I mean, if we're going to see if there are ways to bring people back that are considered brain dead, you're not killing the pig specifically to take the brain to do this. You're taking a pig that was slaughtered and killed and dead and going to be eaten anyway, and you're reenacting the brain, re-stimulating consciousness to it. And if we can prove that that's a thing, how far can that take in Alzheimer's, dementia, brain dead situations? If we can re-engage the consciousness and re-engage the life, that would be pretty spectacular.
Right now I'm thinking everyone who was ever a fan of Pet Sematary is cringing.
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. So there's some interesting aspects of this we'll keep an eye on and see if we can keep an eye on the story. In a commentary that accompanied the research paper in Nature, Farah Henning said her colleagues Henry Greeley and Charles Giattano say the work reminds them of a line from the 1987 movie The Princess Bride. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Mostly dead is still slightly alive.
That's true.
Research like this could complicate the effort to secure organs for transplant from people who have been declared brain dead, according to another commentary written by Case Western Reserve University bioethicists Stuart Younger and Insoo Hyun. Oh, yeah, so let's not worry about saving lives of the person who died. I know there's the ethical side of it, but people are on a long waiting list. But if the whole idea is to prolong life and help regain brain functionality, it's a shame that somebody else won't get donations, but let's not just let somebody die so that we can give donations either.
The only way to truly test that drug is to do it with someone who's actually gone through brain death, and even then you're crossing ethical lines. It's a slippery slope. It really is. I mean, you'd have to the family would have to give permission to test it, and at that point they'd
obviously
have to,
right.
You know, they'd have to already say, you know what, we were going to pull the plug anyway, so go ahead and test. You know, it's.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. That sounds like an interesting story. Certainly something I'd like to know more about.
Yeah. So you're saying,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so you're saying that essentially you won the Twinkies, is what you're saying.
I think I'm getting closer to winning the Twinkies with that, because if they can revive the brain, Tim, we don't know. What if they revive the brains? That's what kickstarts the zombie virus. Just thinking out loud. But let's go on to a happier place now, Tim.
Okay.
Care of is a subscription service that makes it easy to get vitamins, protein powders, and more, personalized just for you and delivered straight to your door. Spring into a healthy routine this year. With the winter blues coming to an end, it's finally time to get back into a routine that empowers you to feel your healthiest. Give yourself an extra boost this season, whether you're looking for more energy, better sleep, or to maintain stress, maybe something else to help you feel your healthiest. Well, Care of's online quiz lets you know exactly what you need. Care of's fun online quiz asks you about your diet, health goals, and lifestyle choices. It only takes 5 minutes to find out your personal scientifically backed recommendation for vitamins, protein powders, and more. The online quiz is now new and improved to learn if you are getting enough protein, fiber, and good fats to determine if you could benefit from Care of's new natural protein powders. Taking care of your health should be easy and convenient. If it's not, you're doing it wrong. It can be really hard to know what vitamins or supplements you should be taking, but Care of makes it easy to find out what you specifically need to be your healthiest. Listen, to many of us around the world, we're feeling down, broken, tired. There's more and more cases of fibromyalgia being reported, and people that just seem to be in the constant doldrums. What if there's something out there that can help you? Well, there is. Care of delivers daily vitamin and supplemental packs along with protein and more, all customized to your recommendation, so you're only taking what you need. Your personalized Care of subscription box gets sent right to your door every month with personalized daily packs. Great for a busy on-the-go lifestyle. And they even say your name on them. Care of's delicious, nutrient-packed, quick-stick powders can be added to your monthly delivery for an extra easy boost whenever you need it. And Tim, I'm not saying this is going to cure fibromyalgia or these other ills that ail you, but if you're missing important proteins, vitamins, and nutrients, it's about time you work it out and figure out what the issue is so you have control of your health.
Sure.
Get back on a healthier regimen. Experience the Care of difference. Care of now offers protein powders available in individual packets for on the go and tubs, all personalized to your fitness goals and dietary preferences. Care of makes sure you're getting vitamins and proteins from the best sources, backed by honest guidance and transparency. And Care of's new protein powders have clean labels and are made with organic ingredients like cocoa and Himalayan pink sea salt or whey from free-range grass-fed cows from Ireland. Vegan and vegetarian supplement options available to match your dietary needs. So track your progress with the Care of app and earn rewards when you remember to take your vitamins. So this is something I want you to think about, Tim. If you're feeling low, you're feeling down, you want to know what the right answer is. And listen, there's a lot of supplements out there, a lot of people making big claims. And how do you get the right answers? Well, this is the way to go. This is the source to get your information. Care of. Go check it out for yourself. Take the quiz, check it out, and see if this is your connection. This is something that I did because I want a healthier life path for myself. I want to start getting my energy back so that I can enjoy the time on the road filming, doing the radio show, or just playing with my children. This was important for me, and it was fast and easy to do this test, and I liked it. Now I'm going to start getting the things that I need to make me feel better. All right? This is what I want for everybody out there to do. For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com. That's takecareof.com and enter darkness50. Again, for 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter darkness50. You're going to thank me once you do. Supplements are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right, Tim, where are we off to next?
We're headed to San Antonio, Texas, Dave, where a woman wants answers after recording some strange lights over that city. A new video into the ABC 13 newsroom shows 3 lights forming a triangle in the sky. The woman who filmed the UFO said she and her fiancé were outside around 9:15 p.m. on April 11th when they saw the slow-moving lights. Okay, what is it? It's hovering, the woman asks her fiancé. It's helicopters. It's a UFO, she responds. It's hovering in the sky and one of the lights disappeared. I stood there in shock until I thought to reach for my phone, the eyewitness wrote. The woman reported the sighting to the Mutual UFO Network, saying it stayed stationary. The lights seemed to rotate slowly as it raised higher, and the lights went out one by one. The eyewitness said she heard no sound at all during the 2-minute sighting. MUFON told ABC 13 Eyewitness News that it is still investigating.
The video and the story, I mean, it looks like 3 lights. It's pretty intriguing. I know her partner's like, it's helicopters, right? That's the story we're talking about?
Yep.
And then the one goes out. I don't know. I've looked at it. It does have that triangle UFO feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really weird. I'm not sure exactly what it is they're dealing with, and I don't know that we should be so quick to just dismiss on stories like this. I could be wrong. Hey, let me do this for you, Tim.
Sure.
Because I love you, because you're the brother I never wanted. Let me read a story that might help you with your side of the Twinkie battle here.
Oh, okay.
As we talk about the rise of AI, Tim, or the zombie apocalypse.
Sure.
Scientists now say our brains will connect to computers within decades to form an internet of thoughts that will provide instant access to information, connecting us once and for all, Tim, to the AI.
No, thanks.
Forward-leaning scientists and researchers say advancements in society's computers and biotechnology will go straight to our heads, literally. In a new paper published in the Frontiers in Neuroscience, researchers embarked on an international collaboration that predicts groundbreaking developments in the world of human-brain cloud interfaces within the next few decades. Using a combination of nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, and other more traditional computing, researchers say humans will be able to seamlessly connect their brains to a cloud of computers to glean information from the internet in real time, Tim. According to Robert Freitas Jr., senior author of the research, a fleet of nanobots embedded in our brains would act as liaisons to humans' minds and supercomputers to enable Matrix-style downloading of information. And these devices would navigate the human vasculature, Tim. Vasculature? That's it. Yeah. Not vasculature, Tim. That word was wrong. I don't even know why you tried to make me say that. It's vasculature, Tim.
Sorry about that.
Let's focus on the right way to say it.
Okay.
No wonder you get so many hate mail about the way you make me pronounce things.
Yeah, I know.
These devices would navigate the human vasculature across the blood-brain barrier and precisely auto-position themselves among or even within brain cells, explains Freitas. They would then wirelessly transmit encoded information to and from a cloud-based supercomputer network for real-time brain state monitoring and data extraction. The interfaces wouldn't just stop at linking humans and computers, say researchers. A network of brains could also form what they call a global superbrain that would allow for collective thought. In recent experiments, researchers have already demonstrated the capability to conjoin human brains and collective tasks in what they call BrainNet, Tim.
No, not BrainNet. Come on. I mean, that's too close. Come on.
You know what that means, Tim?
Don't these people watch movies?
We start here, Tim. The sky's the limit next, Tim.
Come on.
From BrainNet to Skynet.
Jesus.
By recording the subject's electrical brain signals within electrocephalograms and conveying reactions to flashes of LED light, participants coordinated a Tetris-like puzzle game in which each person coordinated shapes fitting them together as they fell. The experiment was the second of such brain interface demonstrations, linking subjects together, with the first involving cooperation in a question-based text game. Though functional, networks like BrainNet are still rudimentary compared to what researchers say will likely exist in the near future. To achieve advanced levels of brain-to-cloud computing, scientists say they will have to pioneer a large number of advancements in technology and medicine, not the least important of which would be systems that allow the seamless transfer of information. This challenge includes not only finding the bandwidth for global data transmission, said Dr. Nuno Martins, but also how to enable data exchange within neurons via tiny devices embedded deep in the brain. Are you going to sign up for this first, Tim? I think this sounds like a Tim Dennis experiment.
No way in hell.
Even if the technology existed, added researchers, introducing a host of high-tech nanoparticles into the brain safely might be a little trickier than it sounds. A detailed analysis of the biodistribution and biocompatibility of nanoparticles is required before they can be considered for human development, said Martinez. Martins. Let me go with the right name again, Tim. Stop. It's just Martins, not martinis, Tim.
Okay, right.
Nevertheless, with these and other promising technologies for brain-computer interface developing at an ever-increasing rate, an Internet of Thoughts could become a reality before the turn of the century. I do want you to know, Tim, that it's very strange that I could plow through a sentence that starts with a detailed analysis of biodistribution and biocompatibility. I spoke too soon. A detailed analysis of the biodistribution and biocompatibility of the nanoparticles is required before they are considered for human development. That rolled off my tongue, but then I couldn't say the name Martins. That was weird.
That is weird. Yeah.
So, nevertheless, these are promising technologies for brain-computer interface developing an ever-increasing rate of Internet of Thoughts. Could it become a reality before the turn of the century, Tim? I hope so. Because we're going to need something to fight the zombie hordes. Wouldn't that be a bitch? The zombie apocalypse happens, but it's Skynet that takes the zombies out once and for all, Tim.
Skynet's going to take everything out. It doesn't matter if zombies show up or not. Maybe Skynet taking us all out is what creates zombies. Maybe I win after all. But zombies only rise because Skynet takes everything out.
There's that, I guess. All right. Where are we off to next?
Well, Dave, as you know, this past week was a tragic week when it came to the Notre Dame Cathedral and history, and when it came to just not only worldwide history and not just religion. You know, I've seen a lot of believe it or not, negativity when it comes to the Notre Dame Cathedral online. It's
unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know how you could pull something negative out of that, but there's a lot of negativity towards the Catholic Church, I guess. One of the positive things, I guess, that comes out of this whole thing is sometimes people can see good and bad, and there is that. Some people that were looking at photos of the Notre Dame fire actually saw Jesus in the flames. Is Jesus Christ visible through photos of the Notre Dame Cathedral fire? Well, some people think so and have started to point out his apparent image within the flames. Leslie Rowan is one such woman who claimed to see the figure of Jesus Christ within the flames of a picture of the Notre Dame Cathedral fire on April 15th. Taking to Facebook, Rowan shared a link from the British site New Musical Express, writing, "I may be letting my mind play tricks on me here, folks. Take a look at this pic, and what do you see? I even circled it." Her post has slowly increased in traffic and comments, with Rowan confirming to some Facebook users that she absolutely agrees with their conviction that Jesus Christ is in the flames. There are some pictures of the apparent figure in the flames, so you can decide for yourself what you see, is what she went on to say. In the screen grab of the original Facebook post, Rowan circles the section where she believes she may have seen the image of Christ. Many of Rowan's friends agreed with her perception. "Oh my God," one friend wrote. Another friend wrote, can 100% see the figure of Christ in the flames? Everyone I've shown thinks the same. Another friend wrote, "Looks like a figure of Jesus," or "I am tripping." At various points, Rowan jumped into the comment thread, saying at one point, "This is not photoshopped either. I was just looking at the story and saw it," before adding that she thought she saw him with a long cloak, calling it mesmerizing and incredible. There's some other photos that are included in the article that I'm looking at here. When asked by another friend what she thought the perceived sign meant, Rowan replied, "I'm a Catholic and I have my own faith, so things like this I keep to myself." She went on to say in an interview with the British news site Daily Record why she shared her belief of the vision of Christ. She said, "When I looked at this photo last night, I was really astounded by what I saw. When I look at it, I see a silhouette of Jesus. I really see a vivid image. I shared it and asked for people's opinion. Even my brother in Australia said it looks like Jesus. I feel like it will bring comfort to people in Paris and all over the world at this sad time." Of course, there are plenty of people who are vocalizing their shock that anyone would claim to see an image in those flames. One Twitter user tweeted, "For real? First, the metal cross that didn't catch fire was a sign. Now people are seeing Jesus in the flames. The lengths people will go to for attention." Indeed, some of Rowan's friends directly disputed her findings, telling her that it was the opposite of amazing and that the image looks like a statue. Though the fire destroyed much of the cathedral's external structure, a majority of the precious relics and architectural wonders of Notre Dame were since confirmed to have survived the devastation. For example, the crown of thorns, a woven circle that Jesus Christ was said to have worn to the crucifixion, was safely taken away from the fire unharmed.
Interesting stuff. What a heartbreak. That was supposed to be part of our France journey later on this year.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, now, of course, we won't be able to. I'm sure we'll still visit the site, but not get to see inside it. And it's good to know, though, that they are quickly restoring. I think billionaires, I read an article, there's over $700 million that have been donated to rebuild this.
Yeah, there were some French millionaires that came forward almost immediately that night. They came forward and said that they would pledge hundreds of millions of dollars right away to rebuilding. There's some American millionaires that have come forward as well that said that they would contribute. And, the thing that's sad is that the reason why it's taken decades and decades to restore Notre Dame over and over and over again is because the state is responsible for repairs of Notre Dame. It's not the Vatican. I know that we've had friends online that have said, well, why doesn't the Vatican step in and pay for it? And why don't they pledge? They've got plenty of money. Why don't they pledge money to the restoration of Notre Dame? Well, it's not the Vatican's responsibility. It's the French state that is responsible for repairs of Notre Dame. So really, when they sit there and say it's devastating, that's the reason why. The other thing that came up the day of, when the devastation was going on, I know President Trump tweeted, well, why don't they just fly over with water tankers and dump water on top of the structure to put out this massive fire? The head of the French fire brigade said that to do that would basically make the structure crumble in all directions. To just dump water on top of it would be basically causing the structure to splatter in all directions, and there would be nothing left of Notre Dame. They wanted to preserve the structure around it because it's that stone facade around it. Right. That's why they were shooting the water cannons up and over to try and put the fire out that way. I saw that
there were some priests that were leading a human chain.
Yes.
Getting things out of there as well. So that's good. I mean, not that everything was saved, but a lot of the important artifacts made it out. And yeah, just devastating. I'm glad to see this wasn't some kind of weird terrorist attack either. Yeah. There were those bizarre rumors as well. And that was all linked to, in 2016, there was an attempted, car bombing, which is kind of absurd to think about, but that someone tries to link that to, a young Muslim girl who was in love and tried to run her car into the side of Notre Dame, which is essentially ludicrous and ridiculous, which would never work. When, as it was pointed out many, many times in the TV coverage, you had scaffolding around Notre Dame, which had a metal frame and wood scaffolding, and it was kindling around the top of Notre Dame. So something as simple as a cigarette could start everything ablaze. You had a stone facade, but underneath you had tinders that went back to the 11 and 1200s, which was dry kindling. So something as simple as a cigarette could light that all on fire and set it ablaze. It could be a spark from electrical equipment. That's what I wondered with, adding all the technology and wiring into a building that was never meant to have that. Mm-hmm. I wondered if that might be an issue.
I'm sure we'll find out that it was faulty equipment, or it was a spark from a wire from equipment that was exposed, or we'll find something in the upcoming investigation it will be something that will be so incredibly tragic and ludicrous that we won't be able to believe it in the coming days. But,
hey, there's some really positive news coming out of the world, too, now, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
600 cases of deadly fungus has been reported, 2/3 from New Jersey and New York City area alone. Where I just came back from, where I'm going to be going back again.
Congrats.
The New York City area, New Jersey, have reported more than 400 cases over the last few years of an emerging fungus infection identified by federal health authorities as a serious global health threat. That amounts to 2/3 of all cases reported in recent years throughout the United States. The fungus Candida auris, also referred to as C. auris or auris, is resistant to some or all antifungal medicines, which makes it harder to treat. Found in hospitals and long-term care facilities, it can quickly lead to death in patients who have weakened immune systems or other underlying serious medical problems. More than 1 in 3 patients with an invasive infection of the fungus has died. 1 in 3, Tim.
Wasn't Candida a Freddie Fender song?
No. The Federal Centers for Disease Control has said and warned by the end of February, New York had confirmed 309 cases over the past several years, more than any other state, according to the CDC. New Jersey has reported 132 confirmed cases and another 22 that are considered probable over the last 4 years. It's taken us all by surprise, said Dr. David Esperlin, the chief scientific officer of the new Hackensack Meridian Health Center for Discovery and Innovation, a global authority on drug-resistant fungal infections. He published several studies in the last 2 years about diagnosing such infections, including C. aureus. We don't really know why globally this bug has burst on the scene all over the world, he said. We're seeing it in hospitals. We have a problem, obviously, in New York and New Jersey, but we see it in Spain, the United Kingdom, South Africa, and other places. How do you explain this and how it's happened all at once? C. aureus spreads in hospitals and healthcare settings via surfaces where it persists for days. And from person to person, he said, those modes of transmission and its persistence are extremely unusual for fungal diseases. The federal agency first asked health facilities to start reporting infections of the fungus in June of 2016. Some of the cases reported by the states predate that time, including most of those considered probable cases. In all, the United States has 617 confirmed cases centered primarily in New York City area, the Chicago area, and New Jersey, the CDC reported. So again, it's nothing, with our total population, 600 people probably die from farting too hard every year. But this is just something that's completely taking them by surprise. There is no real known cure for this. 1 out of 3 people are dying from the infection. That's kind of creepy. Something to keep an eye on as well.
I have it right here. Candida, Tony, Orlando, and Don. I do. It's a song, Dave.
Oh, okay.
It's not a fungus. It's a song.
All right. Say so.
I'm not going to die to it. I'm going to dance to it.
That's, I would, I'd just be more careful about Candida. No, I don't want, if God willing, I don't want to end up in a hospital in New York or New Jersey.
It's right here. Don't you remember the song? You don't remember Candida?
No.
No? This was one of the better Tony Orlando songs. It's probably because you don't recognize the... wait, where is it? Here it is. You don't remember Candida?
Yeah, unfortunately, I remember it now.
See? Candida.
Spent years trying to purge it, and you brought it back to me. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. What's our next story, sir?
Well, Joe Rogan's back in the news, Dave, and it isn't because he's smoking weed with the Tesla owner. No, Dave, it's because he's into UFOs again.
Okay.
He's trying to take our shtick, Dave. We need to take Joe Rogan's shtick. Let's you and I call it.
No, you can take Joe Rogan's shtick. I'm straight.
Oh, no, not like that. I mean, you and I need to call some UFC stuff. That's what we need to do.
Oh,
yeah. We'll take his career. He can take ours. What do you say?
I'll leave handling Joe Rogan's shtick to you.
Well, I hear there's not much to handle.
Wow.
Hi-yo. No, I'm kidding, Joe. We love you. It looks like Joe Rogan's into UFOs again. Like many of us, Joe Rogan's opinion about UFOs has changed over time. At the beginning of his career, he used to tell jokes about the Roswell crash. Back when he was also into the Apollo lunar conspiracies. Then his friend Neil deGrasse Tyson convinced him that the lunar landings were legit. And Rogan swinged hard into big S skeptic mode when he starred in the sci-fi show Joe Rogan Questions Everything and made fun of both Squatchers and the giant bulletproof wolves of Skinwalker Ranch. Now it seems Powerful Joe is swinging back into thinking that maybe not everything is... Pardon me, Dave, I'm about to use a bad word. Earmuffs, kids. Fuckery. That's what it says in here. when it comes to unidentified flying objects. On April 5th, Joe shared on his Facebook wall that he had just watched Jeremy Corbell's very popular documentary, Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, currently ranking as number 6 of top documentary films on iTunes, and gave a rather surprising positive review of it. Oh, he likes it. Very, very interesting, he said. I have a love-hate relationship with UFO stories and conspiracy theories, but this was some really compelling... Well, he called it shit. I don't know if that's compelling. To answer the obvious question, yeah, I was high. Thanks for throwing that in, Joe. I feel like I was watching a documentary on UFOs narrated by Mickey Rourke without getting high first would be disrespectful. The good impression he had of the documentary was he had been shared, or has been recently shared on multiple times with his guests and the audience at the Joe Rogan Experience, ranking number 3 in the top podcast of the iTunes charts. How does he do it? Corbell is understandably excited and flattered at the unsought attention he's receiving from one of the most influencing internet personalities in the world, and is asking his followers to kickstart an informal campaign to see if he can get to be invited to the Joe Rogan Experience, even hinting at the possibility that he could convince Bob to himself to join him, which is kind of strange considering how Bob has a well-established reputation of being incredibly camera-shy and aversive to grant interviews. So the idea would be willing to be the guest of a live stream show would be uncharacteristic of him, to say the least. Credit where credit is due. The fact that Joe found Jeremy's film compelling should be commended, and is no doubt evidence that it is a well-produced documentary. And for the record, the guy who wrote the article hadn't seen the film himself. We have here. I've already commented on multiple occasions. Oh, it says, I think this is the guy in the article, his take on the case. It goes on and on and on. Joe went on to say, I'm too stupid to understand the science. Interestingly enough, he said in one of his clips, admitting he's not equipped to know whether Bob's claims of anti-gravity propulsion is actually plausible or pure BS. Rogan's evident curiosity on a variety of diverse topics has always been a telltale sign of his underestimated intellect, so I think he would do fine if he actually had the opportunity to talk with Bob. When it comes to ufological guests, that's a big word. Unfortunately, the Joe Rogan Experience doesn't exactly have the greatest track record, i.e. Dr. Stephen Greer or Tom DeLonge, it says here in the article. I don't know what that means either, which may or may not have influenced why Joe ended up dismissing the topic of UFOs. This is more of a opinion piece, but so it looks like Joe Rogan is looking at possibly bringing on the two of them, Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell. Yeah,
I hope he does. I think once he gets to hear the stories and all that's associated with it, it could change him around.
I was just going to say, I find Joe Rogan fascinating in that he kind of goes the way the wind blows. You know, I think he plays skeptic because he does have and no offense here, because I consider myself part of the meathead experience, if you will, when it comes to, well, yes and no. I mean, you know, the pro wrestling audience tends to like the paranormal too. So, you know, we're all part of the meathead experience in a way, but the UFC crowd tends to be a bit more skeptical. And I think he considers himself more of a cynic than a skeptic, but he loves to, pardon my language, he loves to shit on a lot of things. So I think he thinks he's being cool by shitting on things, but he's actually had Elon Musk in studio, and while the two of them were firing up a couple of blunts, he's sitting there, you know, talking about what type of science is possible, and the two of them are sitting and they're throwing things back and forth, and Joe Rogan you can tell he's a little out of his element as he's doing this. But that's okay. It's okay to be an interviewer and be out of your element and ask questions. What's not okay is to pretend that you're the smartest guy in the room while you're doing it. You know,
he's good at that.
Yeah, and he does that a lot. He tries to pretend he's the smartest guy in the room sometimes. But you know, if you admit that, hey, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, well, I'm watching this documentary and maybe I don't understand everything like he did with this documentary, then it's okay to bring him back and ask the questions you need to ask. So the fact that he opened up a little bit and said, hey, I don't understand everything, but I think it's kind of cool, it shows some growth there. So there you go. We'll give you kudos there, Joe.
All right, my final story, as long as we're staying in the entertainment realm, Stranger Things, which has captured the attention of the world with seasons 1 and 2, of which neither really captured my attention. I thought it was cute and clever, but, to me it just felt forced. Oh, look, it's 80s kitsch. I should like it because that's my era. I just thought it was okay at best. But people love this. It's like a global phenomena, the Stranger Things. But it seems the creators are headed to trial for allegedly stealing the idea for the Netflix series, Tim. A judge is denying summary judgment to Matt and Ross Duffer as they and Netflix quickly fight to guard information about deal-making and future plot points from becoming public next month. In the realm of the supernatural, a secret governmental project investigating the paranormal qualifies as remarkable. So, too, does a potential trial, exploring whether Stranger Things creator Matt and Ross Duffer stole the idea for their Netflix show from a guy who allegedly pitched a project at the 2014 Tribeca Film Festival. On Wednesday, a Los Angeles Superior Court denied summary judgment to the Duffer brothers in a lawsuit brought by Charlie Kessler. Kessler alleges that Stranger Things is based on a feature film script titled The Montauk Project, set in the New York town, in which he says is home to various urban legends and paranormal and conspiracy theories. In January, in response to claims of breaching an implied contract, the Duffer brothers argued they didn't manifest any intent to enter into a binding agreement with Kessler, that they independently created Stranger Things, and the ideas Kessler says he disclosed were not novel. So we hear some pitch. We don't take the pitch. We create a TV show that's got a lot of attention worldwide and is kind of in the same vein. But hey, none of your ideas were original. So we're going to create a show based on unoriginal ideas that you told us about. Am I being too cynical on this, Tim?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Charlie Kessler asserts that he met the Duffers, then two young filmmakers whom Kessler never had heard of, and chatted with them for 10 to 15 minutes, wrote the defendant's attorney. That casual conversation during which the Duffers supposedly said that they should all work together and asked what Kessler was working on is the sole basis for the alleged implied contract at issue in this lawsuit and for Kessler's meritless theory that the Duffers used his ideas to create Stranger Things. In denying summary judgment Wednesday, Los Angeles Superior Judge Michael Stern says there is no novel requirements under either New York or California law. The judge then turns to Ferris versus Enberg, a 79 appellate decision upholding a trial court's conclusion that no implied in-fact contract could be formed when the plaintiff had voluntarily submitted his idea for the purpose of establishing a future business relationship. The present situation presents far different facts than those detailed in Enberg, writes the judge in short order. The circumstances under which the Kessler claims to have submitted his ideas to the defendants are not analogous. The plaintiff's claimed expectations also differ significant. He contemplated commercial exploitation and profitability. Triable issues of fact remain to be determined concerning what plaintiff said, what he meant to convey by his conversation, and how the defendants responded before it could be definitively concluded whether or not an implied in-fact contract was formed. So here's the deal, folks. Many of you try to send in story ideas or TV show ideas to Tim and I or others that you meet at events. The problem is there really are very few original ideas left when it comes to like paranormal shows and movies and theories. And if you've got one, get it protected. Protect it, have it legally looked at, and then use representation when making a pitch. Don't just assume people are going to be good people. It just doesn't happen that way, unfortunately. So don't send guys like Tim and I your stories. I cringe. I will tell people I didn't open it. I erased it. Don't send it back to me, because if, God forbid, I get involved in a project in the future that is even close to it, I don't want the ramifications. So I don't know. Is that pretty stable advice from your side, Tim?
Yeah, it's pretty good advice, I would say.
Yeah, so just protect it. Don't share it with others. People in the entertainment field cannot be trusted when it comes to sharing an idea. Just plain and simple. Be careful. Protect yourself. Yeah. Have something in writing before you even show them.
Yep.
Because a lot of these companies make you sign a non-disclosure. You should have them sign something as well.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Do you have any other stories for me, Tim?
I do not. That was my last story. Yep.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
All right. Well, I've got a couple of emails I wanted to cover, if you don't mind, from our listeners.
Oh, you know what? I do have one. I wanted to rebut the zombie story with just one email. Just one email, if I could.
You're such a bitter man. Go ahead.
I'm not bitter. I just, just to show you that someone out there is looking out for old Timmy. That's all. If I could. The headline reads, "You won the Twinkies." I'm just saying. And it comes from Patricia Martell. It says, "Hi, Timmy D. I'll even forward this to you so you can see it, if you would. It says, "Hi, Timmy D. I hope you have a good appetite for Twinkies because I have proof that there will not, in capital letters, be a zombie apocalypse." The attached audio file, which I'll play after we're done here, is Dr. Mark Crisplin, an infectious disease doctor from Portland, Oregon, being interviewed on the Know Thyself podcast. I nearly fell off my chair laughing when I heard this. Poor Dave, he must be devastated. On the other hand, this is not the most auspicious victory, she does admit. AI is getting spookier every day. Last week I saw a robot wandering around in the grocery store, and it was suspiciously pacing in the battery section, located next to the turkey basters.
I'm already not buying her story with anecdotes like that. I'm sorry, anecdotes like that.
It's not an anecdote. There ain't no such thing as an anecdote. Hope you get a kick out of the recording. Have a great day, Patty in Connecticut. So, there you go. Just saying.
All right, let's hear this audio.
All right, here it is.
I read an article that about 8% of our genome is viral DNA. They can actually identify specific viruses within our DNA. I think it's Bornavirus. And
there's a bunch of old retroviruses and that sort of stuff.
Well, that does bring up an important point. What do you think the likelihood of a zombie apocalypse is in the next, say, 2 to 5 years?
Pretty low. I'm not worried about it.
We don't know any viruses that could mimic those effects?
No, I don't think so. That would be, no. Unfortunately, there won't be a zombie apocalypse.
There's no perma-rabies in the future?
No, I don't think so. They're all fun things to read about, but unfortunately, or fortunately, no, that is unlikely to happen.
This is purely just a speculative question.
Whatever, Tim. Whatever. Here's what I got to say. We just talked about brain nanotechnology that they thought wasn't possible. And we just talked about pigs' brains being revived and brought back to life. And that wasn't considered plausible as well. But now here we are doing it. And had you told them 200 years ago that we'd be riding around in metal boxes, Tim, they would have scoffed and laughed at you, rolled your eyes. Telling people that the movies would take over from vaudeville, Tim, was a joke at that time. So I just say shenanigans. Shenanigans.
Look at you cynical man. Those Twinkies are already mine.
Good luck with that, sir.
Yeah.
They're probably tainted by AI hands. Are you sure you want them? Because they are made completely by mechanics, Tim. I don't mean like Joe, your mechanic down at the local garage, Tim. I mean, it's all mechanical instrumentation. And now that they know you're going to get that winning Twinkie box, Tim, or you think you're going to.
Oh, yes, I am.
If AI really is listening, Tim,
no,
they're probably just injecting it with roofie cream.
Roofie cream? Where do I pick some of that up? I mean, does Bill Cosby sell that, or Cardi B, or
too soon. All right, we've got some more some emails here I wanted to cover.
Sure.
When you think of all the eons and eons of time that have come before us, this is from Loretta. Many people are trying to help me through my fear of death, and this was her addition. When you think of all the eons and eons of time that have come before us, and all the eons and eons that will come after us, what are the odds that we would be here right now in this particular little slice of time if we hadn't existed before and won't exist after? Thank you, Loretta. That was very, very beautiful and very deep. And I don't know what kind of drugs you were on when you wrote it, but I appreciate you sending it to me anyway.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it is. It's great. Yeah, but what does it mean? I don't know. Hey, Tim and Dave, I've been listening to yous for about 2 years now. That's how he says it here, Tim. I've been listening to yous for about 2 years now.
East Coaster.
When I did start, I was listening to an episode about UFOs. Driving down the highway was a radioactive container with a police escort. I thought that was ironic. figured you might get a kick out of that because there were other reasons I was reaching out to use. One is my wife and her friend want us to go to a haunted history thing, I think down in Gettysburg. I always wanted to go because of the history and paranormal history there. But since I started listening to you, I started to worry about going to such places because of malevolent forces that may be lurking in the shadows. And knowing my luck, they would attach to me. Any advice on how to protect us? Or am I just worrying too much? Well, first of all, if you want to go to Gettysburg, hold your horses. There's an event coming up. I think it's March 2020 that Tim and I will be a part of. Phenomenology 2020 will be taking place in Gettysburg. There will be guided ghost tours, guided ghost hunts, and more. Plus, you get a chance to meet some of your favorite paranormal celebrities. So why don't you guys plan on coming to that? I'll have information up at darknessevents.com as more information is made available. We'll have a banner up. So again, go to darknessevents.com. And if you want to go to Gettysburg, come with your buddies, Dave and Tim, and all the other great guests that they'll have on hand. And we'll walk you through the haunting. I've been to Gettysburg numerous times. I've never brought anything malevolent back, but maybe a nasty cold. Yeah. How about you, Tim?
About the same, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. If you go into it constantly in a place of fear, you might just attract an asshole ghost who just wants to poke and prod you just to spook you because it's funny. But I don't really think you have to worry about that. It's in the way that you do it and the intent that you set forward. Plus, learn the prayer of Michael the Archangel, or, even just a simple clearing prayer when you leave, stating that you ask to be cleared, your soul, your mind, your body, and your aura just be cleared of any energies that are not yours. And you should be fine. Should be fine. And last but not least, my wife told me her mom has been having panic attacks because she's having a recurring dream where her brother, who passed away maybe 9 years ago, is standing at the bottom of her steps saying it's time to go. Sorry that the story's run on a bit. Thank you for your time. Love your show and hope all is good with you and your family and Tim and his family. That comes from Henry. Henry, thank you so much. I don't have an answer for you regarding what your mother-in-law is dealing with. I understand how that could be a very terrifying and chilling dream to have her brother there, but maybe she should just try to, in the dream, connect with him and see if she can get an understanding of why is he really there. What does it mean it's time to go? We automatically jump on the fact thinking it's time to die. Maybe he has something to show her. So she could put that intent forward before she goes to the dream and just say, brother dear, if you visit me tonight, please explain more. I need to know more, and see what she gets. You have anything to add to that, Tim?
Man, that's a scary proposition.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Just try to look at the positives of it first. Sometimes we misinterpret the messages.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Time to go where? That's the question. Yeah, you're right. It is something you should put the intention out there and ask, but time to go.
And you never know. Maybe he's warning you. Maybe he's trying to get you to pay attention to him because when the time comes, he may be trying to usher you out of the house just before a fire.
That's true.
Or before somebody breaks in. So just try to get a better understanding and clarification, or reach out. Reach out to people like Michael and Marty Perry at spiritart.com and get a reading. They're great. I highly suggest them. Maybe they can give you some insights on what that means.
Yep.
Hello, Dave and Tim. This is probably going to sound odd and like a tale of bullshit, but it's what I experienced. We'll be the judge of that. I was about 12 or 13, so this all happened around 87 or 88. Me, my little sister, and my little brother went camping with my dad a lot when we were young. This particular weekend, we were going to a place called Three Links Campground. I don't know if I can even say that name, which is located in Northern California, where we all grew up. We were there. We were with a large collection of friends from a group my dad was a part of. We unloaded, pitched our tents, and set about to do what kids do, explore our new surroundings. As was typical when I was a kid, there were some stories about how the campground was built on an ancient Indian burial ground and that it was haunted. It was good enough to get our curiosity up, and we did end up finding some markers, but they were old crosses, and none of us thought they were Indian, but looked more like settlers' grave markers. That night, everyone got their fires going, and we were all getting ready to call it a night when it started pouring rain. And I mean heavy, nasty rain that flooded out some tents and campsites. The campground had a large dining meeting hall at the top of the hill near the camp entrance. Apparently, one of the parents had talked to the manager and they agreed to let us all take our sleeping bags in and set up in the hall for the night. Everyone was relieved to not have to pick up in the dark and leave. Since everyone was awake, we were all talking and making hot chocolate when a woman who was looking out of the big bay window said quietly, "Hey, does anyone else see that?" A couple of us walked to the window and basically said, "We don't know what you're talking about." She said something else that I can't recall, and she walked out the door and onto the big wraparound porch, staring down the hill toward the campsites we had all evacuated. It was one-lane dirt driveway, basically, lit by one of those big sodium lights, so it was surprisingly well lit. She said, "Right there," walking up the driveway. I stared hard like I was looking at one of those puzzle pictures, trying to see what she was seeing. Before I could catch my composure, this thing was maybe 50 feet from our porch. Scared the shit out of me. What I saw didn't have any physical form, but more of a reactive and refractive form, visibly only because of the pouring rain. It was so big. To me, it was like over 7 feet tall and broad, and took slow, deliberate paces toward the porch. I was frozen, but I wasn't fearful at this point. This lady who originally saw the thing must have some kind of medium or something, but she seemed to communicate with it. She said it was a Sasquatch, and that it had been killed along with its child, and that it was wandering with the ghost of its child trying to find home. It stood there for what seemed like several minutes. All the while this lady was crying, I had the presence of mind to look away from the thing for a second or two and saw that there were at least 8 other people out there seeing this all go down. It walked back down the driveway and out of sight. As it passed the pole where the light was hung, you could see the refractive outline of a figure about half the size of the one we saw join its mom or dad and then disappear. Needless to say, I didn't sleep much that night, and we all avoided the subject the next day. My dad and I still talk about the experience and share the exact memories of what happened. Thanks, guys. Love the show. I've been a listener since 2010, and that comes from Jason in North California. North California, Tim.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today. Remember, if you want to be a part of the show, you can call in 651-300-4977 and share your stories. 651-300-4977. For Tim Dennis, I'm Dave Schrader. You've been listening to the best in paranormal talk radio. We'll be back tomorrow with more Beyond the Darkness.